defensiveness or ultimatums. That would be detrimental to the love and to the trust. So I work with people in a variety of ways, separately or together, to help them talk to each other about this very delicate subject, because it's about the love.
Right. What are some quick, off the cuff, go-to things that you recommend most often for someone that is struggling to approach their soon-to-be spouse with a prenup? What are 3 key things that they could say to their spouse right now to at least open the door and start that dialogue?
Well, for me, I'm so ameliorative in my response to questions like that. So I would want to open the topic with the spouse and say, have you thought about how we might handle our finances when we are living together in the marriage? Do you have any questions for me about my finances that you would like me to discuss with you? I would make it more a questioning dialogue, bringing respect to the table and bringing the person in rather than keeping them out.
That's very helpful, especially because one of the things we know about marriage is it's all about compromise and it's all about communication. So I think a prenup is a great way to at least start practicing that open communication and negotiation, because that's really what it is. Marriage is a compromise, right? And so I think this is a great exercise to get on the same page and jump into your marriage with both feet, knowing that you are confidently protected emotionally, financially, and all the ways in between. So,
and Lauren, it doesn't even have to be a compromise. It can be a mutually agreeable, beneficial deal.
absolutely.
So because compromise somehow sounds like one person is giving in for the sake of the other. And I'm not opposed to compromise, but what I am opposed to is capitulation when you don't really experience it yourself. And so I would want first for both people to feel their full strength and their full intellect and the whole person that they are coming to the table with each other to reach a mutually agreeable solution to whatever issue has arisen. And oftentimes they might agree on 6 of the items and there's one outstanding. That's another call I get is we're almost there, Susan, but we have this one tricky wicket. So then I would immediately inquire about what's transpired so far. What have you discussed so far? What are your areas of agreement? What is the basis of your feeling disagreement on this particular issue? And I would want to know the basis for the other person. Sometimes it's just a simple fear. Sometimes it's just a simple insecurity. Sometimes it's something really simple where you just go click and give the person a certain amount of confidence and they're home to the races. It's done.
I love that. And especially because you checked me on the word compromise. I completely agree. I don't think anyone should have to give up anything. It's about empowering each individual to be able to ask and say, this is important to me. And I want to do what's important for you as well. So let's find a way to mesh and coexist and make sure that both of us are taken care of in the way that we need to be.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
I love that. So
Yes.
Are there any risks with prenups?
Well, the risk is that the couple loses their sense of adulthood and they go into, I'm hurt, you surprised me, I didn't expect, some of those negatives. And so what I try to do when I feel that creeping in is I try to bring them to their highest power and their highest level of adulthood and their best self, stepping up into a mature dialogue about the business that they are embarking upon together. There's where I think the risk can be. If somebody is intimidated, perhaps, or uncertain, or is in the situation for some nefarious financial reason, and they can see that it's not going to come to fruition as they anticipated. Some of those kinds of risks. But when I work with people, I do not dwell on the negatives. I immediately bring them into, how can we resolve this? How can we solve this little tricky wicket that we're up against here? A tiny barrier to communication. Because once we have communication, we have it forever in the marriage, and it's longevity for the marriage.
Absolutely. And I think you said something that's very important, which is just making sure that we keep it almost professional, that we keep it personal, and that we respect the boundaries of the other person, right? It's not about this is what I want or else. It's not about demanding your needs. It's about coming to an agreement between two of you that you both feel confident about without having to leave anything else behind or unheard. And I think one of the challenges that I've run across just while being a part of HelloPrenup is people are afraid to take the first step and really ask for what they want. And so I think you gave fantastic advice, which is hold your ground, make sure you stand up for what's important to you, but also make sure that you're hearing the other person and responding to their needs as well and coming to a mutually beneficial agreement.
Yes, especially if you have one or the other that is saying, here's the deal or else.
Right.
Then I want that other party immediately in my office. And I need to spend time with that person, educating them on the benefits and detriments of what they're about to embark upon, and really explain business to them. Accounting, a lot of things come into play, but it certainly doesn't have to do with anything to do with their honeymoon or their wedding gown or their flowers or the joy that they've experienced with each other at all.
Right.
And that's the differentiation that I have to make for that person that is about to succumb to, well, I want to get married, so I'll just have to agree.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I want that person immediately so I can bring them up to speed on what is going on.
Absolutely. So should everyone get a prenup?
Well, who are we to say what everyone should do?
Right? Good answer. Good answer.
I have this kind of joke, the longer I live, the less I know.
Right.
Well, so, it's a valuable tool for many couples for sure. And especially now, when people are getting married later and each has had their careers, we've got universities filled with both genders, and we have MBAs floating around who are both genders. So each has their own business plan of their own. And for sure, those people all want to understand what they're going to do in their future business with their partner at the beginning, if possible.
I completely agree. I think it's a nice to have and a have to have depending on where you're at. But for most people, yes. One of the things we always say is you should never sign something you don't feel confident about. And other than that, a prenup is, I believe, for everyone, because really it's about an agreement. And it could have the simplest of things, or it could be the most complex 900-page document, whatever it needs to be for you to feel comfortable in your marriage. So let's talk about something a little bit more exciting, which is just being married. What's